Hello, and welcome to Crossover Sports. I'm Sam Egan alongside Jake O'Brien, and we have a great show for you today. We begin the show by recapping the MLB postseason. Followed by that, we will be talking about the NBA season. After that, we have an interview with White Sox prospect Will Kincanon, and then finally, we will do our hot takes for the NBA season. So Jake, you want to get us started with the MLB postseason?
So Braves just won the World Series in 6 games, and no one really expected it to happen. People were rolling straws, and Braves ended up, their bullpen rode their World Series.
Oh, for sure. They had so many injuries. Charlie Morton getting injured in the World Series.
Acuna
out for the year.
Acuna was out for the year.
And if you think about it, the Braves were an 88-win team.
Yeah.
The Blue Jays were a 90-win team and didn't make the playoffs. The Mariners were a 90-win team. They didn't make the playoffs. And the Braves with 88 wins went and won the whole thing. That just shows you, if you get hot during the postseason, anything can happen.
Literally. So I thought the Red Sox got hot at the right time, and they ended up being the wild card winners as well as the division series after that. But they just caught a cold streak, and it's a streaky game, and you just got to find the right time to get hot, like you said, and the Braves did that.
Agreed. The Astros, they played great. Their pitching, you look at the rotation, and there's not really a guy that stands out to you as like a clear ace. Verlander was out.
But McCullers, I'd say, is an ace.
McCullers really turned into an ace this year.
Yeah, he did.
And especially this postseason, he dominated the White Sox in Game 1 and in Game 4.
Yeah.
And then he was out for the rest of the postseason, which was a real killer for the Astros.
It was huge killer because they obviously losing Verlander is huge, and with losing a couple of your great aces, and we're like in postseason baseball, pitching is one of the most important things, and you see guys getting pulled in third innings a lot.
Yeah, the White Sox, they didn't have a guy go past the 5th inning.
They didn't. And Lance Lynn there, the Sox ace, just couldn't put it together. He couldn't.
No, he couldn't. No one on that Sox rotation could put it together, and their bullpen struggled even more.
Yeah. And the Sox, they were, I think, your favorite earlier.
They were my favorite for sure.
No bias.
No bias. But you look at a team like the Rays too. They won 100 games. A lot of people were writing them off to go to the World Series again, and they couldn't get it done against the Red Sox because,
but the
like you
Reds,
said, getting hot. Kike Hernandez had an insane postseason.
Schwarber had a great postseason. He had a grand slam He had a grand slam, and also the Red Sox had 2 other grand slams that series. So or one other, but it was just like I said. They were hot and cold. But teams like the Dodgers, everyone thought they were gonna win it all.
Especially when you look at the NLCS and you're like, oh, Dodgers, easy. They're going to the World Series.
Yeah.
And the Braves just come out of nowhere. Their bullpen was phenomenal.
Oh my gosh, insane. No one thought anyone could stop the Dodgers hitting.
Or the Giants.
Yeah.
The Giants just, that was a great series.
It was a great series. I wish it was more than a 5-game series.
Oh,
I really
for sure.
wish it
That would
was.
have been a great 7-game series.
Yeah.
And Wilmer didn't swing.
Yeah.
Wilmer didn't swing. But, Giants, I really thought they had it, but they didn't. Dodgers went on the road in Game 5 and played a big game and won it.
Yeah, but they didn't really look good at all against the Braves. They couldn't put it together. Their one game, they barely won with Bellinger hitting a homer in the 8th inning, and they ended up winning. That was their only game they won, I think, that series. And their pitching did not look good either. Buehler is their ace, and he got shelled.
Yeah.
As well, and losing Kershaw is
that was a huge
tough.
blow to them, and Muncy as well.
Yeah.
But going back even further, the wild card, the Yankees, they had a couple really bad plays and a really couple close calls where Stan hit a couple balls where you thought it'd leave the yard and it didn't.
And it just, it
got
flew
thrown out
off
his
the
home
bat.
as well.
Yeah. Those were just, I thought I was like sitting back and watching the game, and I thought I was like, oh, Stanton homer, but then boom, hits off the wall.
And then the NL wildcard, the Cardinals, you thought they had a chance. They outplayed the Dodgers all game, and then they bring in Alex Reyes. And
Reyes blows leads a lot.
Yeah, he had that trouble in the second half of the season, and it really showed.
Like his first half was great, and he was a key in for an All-Star as a closer, but then just that second half just downgrade.
Braves won the World Series. Jorge Soler, World Series MVP. Now let's transition into the NBA because look at the Heat, look at the Bulls, look at the Knicks.
Yeah.
You got new teams emerging.
And the Lakers are not doing good at all.
So what do you think of the Eastern Conference so far? Now that it's a lot of people always say that the East is a lot weaker than the West. I think the East is the better conference this year.
I agree. I mean, the teams at the top are like you said, the Knicks, the Bulls.
I think the Bulls, I mean, they made a lot of big signings, and Bulls fans were very excited.
Yeah. I think the
Bulls fans aren't shocked, but a lot of NBA fans are shocked that guys like DeMar DeRozan and Lonzo Ball, now Lonzo Ball's shooting threes.
Yeah, and he's making them. So, like, he barely shot any threes in years past, but now you just see the confidence he shoots with, and that brings a lot to the Bulls, is like, because they have their main scorers are Levine, obviously, DeRozan, and Vucevic.
So like we said, the Heat, the Knicks, the Bulls are on top, and Bucks are struggling. I know it's early, obviously, but the Bucks are struggling as well.
It's only 6 games in, but still, it's interesting to see that these teams are they're switching it up. I mean, Knicks they look really good, and they look like the old Bulls, honestly, like with D-Rose, Taj Gibson,
Coach Tibbs.
Yeah, literally. So
now, what do you think of the Western Conference? What do you think about the teams out there?
Honestly, I like the Jazz a lot.
I like them too. They look like a really
They play
solid
great team basketball. Like they rely on the three is the only scary thing. So if I
like the Nuggets a lot as well.
Oh, the Nuggets are great too. I mean,
Suns struggled too.
Oh yeah, but like you said, it's very early. It's hard to tell now, but it's going to be a very competitive season in my opinion.
And then we'll get more into the NBA later with our hot takes, and there are definitely some NBA hot takes.
A lot.
Coming into our hot take segment. But that'll do it for this segment. Stay tuned for more Crossover Sports, where we have an interview with White Sox prospect Will Kincanon right after this. Welcome back to Crossover Sports. Now we have an interview with RB alum and current White Sox prospect Will Kincanon. So Will, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so I want to get into your RB career a little bit first before we get into your professional baseball career. So if you want to go into your RB career a little bit, because I know you played basketball as well as baseball, so if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Obviously, RB was a building block for not only my career now, but growing up. Played basketball with Coach McCluskey, Coach Ryan Gruber, baseball with obviously Coach Till, Coach Ruge. They were an integral part on my career and my success even today.
All right, so you originally committed to Middle Tennessee State, so talk me through your college decision process as you ended up going to Triton.
Yeah, I mean, I had a really good relationship with the pitching coach in Middle Tennessee State. His name was Skylar Mead. When I got on campus, he left. I decided to come home and enroll at Triton. Was there for 2 years and got drafted by the Dodgers my sophomore year, but decided to make it to Indiana State and then make a decision, obviously, with the White Sox, to sign with the White Sox.
So, like you said, you got drafted by the White Sox your junior year. Your hometown team, you grew up a Sox fan. What was it like getting that call? It
was definitely surreal. It was definitely surreal. The funny thing about that was I met with every team in the major leagues. The only team I didn't meet with was the White Sox, and then they picked me in the draft. So it was definitely a surprise, but a blessing.
Going back to your JUCO route, why do you think, because JUCO route's a lot more common now, why do you think the JUCO route is so important?
I mean, a lot of times, I was close to home. I could stay with family. My dad went to Triton. He got drafted out of Triton as well by the Cincinnati Reds. So I kind of had a connection there as well. And it was just too easy to turn down.
So you started your career as a starter, and then you transitioned to the bullpen. So talk about your pitch arsenal and the jump from being a starter to the bullpen.
Obviously, as a starter, you need to be able to pitch multiple innings, sometimes the full game, 9 innings. Out of the bullpen, I've been closing recently in the minor leagues. You don't need as many pitches. You kind of just go in the game and let your best stuff play. I throw a sinker, a curveball, and a slider for the most part. And I obviously just kind of let it eat for 1 inning and try to blow people away.
What would you say your best pitch is?
Probably my slider. My slider is definitely my put-away pitch, what I like to strike guys out with, but I definitely throw a lot of sinkers to get ahead and then put them away with the slider.
For sure. So your minor league process, you started in Great Falls, correct?
Yes.
So then you jumped your way up into Kannapolis, going to Winston-Salem. You were an all-star there. So talk about your minor league process and that 2019 all-star season.
Starting in Great Falls, Montana was definitely something I've never experienced before, being in Montana, being in the Northwest. Definitely enjoyed it. Being in Kannapolis, my first year, I had an injury to start the year. It was kind of a shortened season for me, but in 19, I really feel like I hit my stride, and I obviously had an all-star season, like you said. and I really figured some things out with our pitching coach there, and ever since then I've really put into play what I'm going to have for the future.
What do you think that biggest jump from your 18 to the 2019 season was for you?
Well, first thing was health, for sure, just being healthy, feeling good. And then I had a coach, Matt Zaleski, who's our AAA pitching coach now in Charlotte, who really helped me, and he kind of just said, I don't want you throwing your changeup anymore. Throw your slider, throw your curveball, those are your better pitches. And once I made that change to, just kind of get away from the changeup, it really helped.
2020 you had an amazing spring training, and obviously it was cut short due to COVID. 2021 you start in Birmingham. You have a tough injury, out for the year. But tell me what your experience was like in Birmingham for your short time there.
I mean, it was great. I loved it. Birmingham was a really good time. We had a great group of guys, a lot of friends of mine. Started the year really well, just kind of pitching through a lot of pain. Really couldn't bounce back. Would pitch one inning, and then the next day I really couldn't move my arm. So we kind of knew that, I was going to need surgery. But we were getting through it, and like you said, that 2020 spring training was a blessing. I learned a lot being around those big league guys in the big league spring training, and hopefully I can use that going into 2021 spring training, or 22, I should say.
How has the rehab been going for you, and how has the training staff and all that been for you?
The rehab process has been long. Obviously, it's been a grind. The first couple months were slow and frustrating, but recently it's been feeling good, and we're starting to get back to 100%.
You've played in the minor leagues most of your career. The MLB is now finally allowing players to have housing. They're supplying housing for players. They're not paying them as much, but the housing is definitely a big step. So what does that mean to you and other minor league players?
It's definitely a blessing. Long overdue, for sure.
For sure.
But I'm glad to see MLB is going in the right direction, not only for myself, but all the other minor leaguers and minor leaguers to come. Obviously, minor league baseball, you don't make much money, so them supplying housing is a big blessing for us.
You've played with a lot of great guys, great players both in the majors and minor leagues through spring training and your time in the minors. Who would you say is the best teammate you've seen and like the best guy all around in the clubhouse?
Best player I've played with, no disrespect to anybody else, definitely Luis Robert.
Robert's an animal.
Yeah, he's a different breed. Playing with him in 2018 and 19 in Winston-Salem, it was like watching a video game, so he was just different.
And then as far as like minor league teammates, who?
Oh, I have a bunch of buddies. Craig Delo is one of my best friends in the minor leagues. Bennett Souza. There's so many to name. Blake Battenfield. There's just so many to name. And the best part, it's all over the country, different backgrounds, so it's really something special.
All right, well, thank you for coming on. It was great having you, great talking baseball, and I hope to talk again to you soon.
Appreciate you guys having me.
All right, thank you for coming on. We'll be back with our next segment for hot takes on the NBA season coming up after this. And welcome back to Crossover Sports. We begin our final segment talking about our NBA hot takes. So, Jake, you want to get us started with your NBA hot take?
All right, my NBA hot take is the Bulls go to the finals in the Eastern Conference. And
Eastern Conference Finals or the finals?
No, the finals from the East. But
That's bold.
yeah, I know. I'm no biased. I may be a Bulls fan, but their team just looks so good. They play very
well together.
Yes, they like together. Like the Lakers do not.
Yeah, the Bulls are a very fun team to watch, and they kind of remind me of the Lob City Clippers a little bit.
And yeah, I agree. And Lonzo is leading that. His passing's great, but then DeRozan just is.
And their defense is much improved.
Oh yeah,
the biggest need for that Bulls team.
The only defensive problems is at big man, which is Vucevic, where he cannot guard anyone who is a post-dominant player like Embiid. So that's the only scary thing, but the rest of the team looks very good.
Yeah, and I have a similar hot take with the Bulls. I think DeMar DeRozan will be on an All-NBA team.
Wow, that is a hot take, but I mean, he's starting off insane, averaging over 25 points a game, and he's been carrying the Bulls for some of these games.
Yeah, dropping seemingly 30 points a night for the last few nights.
And with ease, efficiency, his mid-range is
his mid-range is just the best part of his game. That's something the Bulls need. It opens up the offense more. He can pass the ball out to Levine or Lonzo or even Vucevic beyond the arc.
And he's their go-to guy.
He's their go-to guy. It's a veteran leader that they need in that locker room, and he just does a lot of great things for that team.
Yeah, he does.
So I know you want one more hot take you want to get into.
Yeah, and then so I'm gonna go to the West now. I mean, it's not a crazy hot take, but I have the Jazz winning the West and going to the finals.
Jazz are great team.
Yeah, and kind of like the Bulls, they play well together. And the only thing that I'm scared about is they rely on the three-point shot. So if they don't have if they kind of catch a cold streak, then they wouldn't make it, but they're just so efficient from the three-point line. So, and Donovan Mitchell is just, I think he's one of the best players in the NBA. Spida, I love Spida, yeah. He's so good, but yeah, I have the Jazz winning the West. That's my hot take.
We didn't really mention the Nets. What is your opinion on the Nets this year?
Honestly, with like the fiasco with Kyrie, I think it's kind of like pushing them down.
Yeah.
Even though,
and that was kind of an issue last year.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
their just locker room is just, it doesn't seem like it meshes well together, and there's only one basketball.
Yeah, and like their team looks great on paper, yeah, but when you put it on the court, like, are they really that consistent? I mean, KD's one of the best scorers ever, and Harden's as well, you could say, but sometimes those guys aren't feeling it. And who are you gonna go to? Blake? Like, I wouldn't trust those guys as much as like a bunch of other deep teams like the Jazz.
Yeah. My final hot take is I either think the Lakers will not make the postseason or it will be another first-round exit. I just don't think the Lakers are that great of a team. They don't play good basketball together.
Yeah.
They're getting fights in game on the bench. They don't mesh well together as a basketball team.
Yeah.
A lot of great talent. Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James. I would say they're all top 10, 15 players.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know, they just, like the Nets, there's only one basketball, and I just don't feel like they can get the job done because of A, how weak their bench is, and B, just how much of a struggle an older team is. Maybe that veteran leadership will help them, maybe down the road, but I just feel like, you gotta have some young talent in there.
Yes,
and they don't have much of that.
And they don't have much depth, like you said. And
other than like Taylor Horton Tucker, their young talent, their bench is minuscule.
Horrific, yeah. And LeBron, I say, I don't know if he's gonna have a great year because he's battling injuries, and like you said, those players don't mesh well. And it's surprising because Russell Westbrook is one of the best passers in the NBA, as well as LeBron. And then having a dominant big man is huge, but it's just so many ball-dominant players, it just doesn't work.
We'll see what happens later in the season, see if they figure it out, but as of right now, I just don't think they'll figure it out.
I agree. I like that hot take a lot.
Well, that's all for today's show. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time on Crossover Sports.